Let's lead off the final hour of the show. CJ, Mount Holly, New Jersey. Hello, CJ.
JJ, how you doing?
CJ, I'm doing well. What's going on, bud?
First of all, for all the events coming up, the big one, in my opinion, is the line. And as a Jet fan, I'm going to be very interested to see what Ezekiel Elliott's 40-yard time is, because I've seen many mock drafts suggesting he may be the pick. What's your thought on that?
I would not be a fan of the Giants taking Elliott, and I love Elliott, CJ. Listen, he was a stud last year at Ohio State. I think he has a chance to be a real good running back in this league. But you look at this Giant team, I look at this Giant team. Where are the glaring weaknesses? On the defensive side of the ball, they need pass rushers. They need a linebacker. They need a safety.
I'm talking about the Jet draft.
Oh, excuse me. I thought you just said the New York Giants when it comes to Ezekiel Elliott. I would have said no way. See, if Elliott's there for the Jets, I consider it. Number one priority for them is getting a guy on the edge who can get after the quarterback. But Elliott for the Jets, sorry about that, CJ. I didn't hear you clearly. That's my bad there. Okay. I would be all over Elliott if he's there when the Jets are taken in the middle of the first round. That'd be a guy who would give them a different dynamic, explosive nature. He's there for the Jets. I consider it.
You know, one other guy who I would consider for the Jets, he hasn't really been mentioned that much, but if it turns out he's the best available athlete on the board, I would take Mackenzie Alexander, getting a young quarterback for the future.
Yeah, listen, you could certainly go that route, but for the New York Jets, it's about trying to maximize this window you have here, CJ. We know that Fitzpatrick is the guy until you get the guy.
Correct.
You want to be in a position where you can get some players in here to get this team to the playoffs, because after a 10-win season, everybody's feeling good about things, but you have that bitter taste in your mouth after what happened with the Buffalo Bills in that final game of the year. I want to maximize these draft picks as much as I possibly can to help this team get to the next level.
All right, now getting to the Knicks, I don't want to make any silly move tomorrow. I don't want them to make any trade just for making a trade. If nothing's there, just sit with the players and hope to pick up the pieces in the summer.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there, CJ. And here's the thing for the New York Knicks. I don't think they are going to be in a position to make a deal because of the fact they really don't have the assets at their disposal. Like, what are they going to trade for Jeff Teague? Nobody's going to want Jose Calderon. Derek Williams has an opt-out. Aaron Aflalo has an opt-out. I don't see any way the Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks make a deal. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Knicks can fleece Atlanta for Jeff Teague because he's a really good point guard. He's a really good player. But I think the Knicks will be very quiet here. And you're right. They're going to have to bide their time. They're going to have to wait until the offseason. And then you look to bring in a Mike Conley Jr. Or you explore the possibility of Rondo. And I would explore the possibility of Rondo, CJ, despite conventional wisdom.
You know what, though? If all else fails, you know what? I checked the 2017 probable draftees. This year's high school senior class, it's laden with point guards. So when they do have that draft pick, if they go into the tank, at least they can get a great point guard in the 2017 draft. There are a lot of point guards on that list.
Yeah, that's true, CJ, but I don't want to be in a position anymore where the Knicks are talking about tanking. You know, last year it was fine. They were a terrible team. They got off to a terrible start. They were gutting the roster. I was all for the tank job last year. Be the first to admit it. And I remember coming on the air blowing a gasket after the Knicks won a couple of meaningless games at the end of the year. They missed out on their opportunity to get Karl Anthony Towns. They ended up with Porzingis. Next best thing. Because I think if you were to redo this draft, Karl Anthony Towns would go 1. Kristaps Porzingis would go 2. That's how dynamic and talented he's been for the New York Knicks. But you've got to build around Porzingis, Anthony, and the other guys you have here. And I'm sick and tired of hearing about tanking year after that, year after that. You can't be sitting here waiting for guys. You got to act now if you're Phil Jackson.